Hey everyone, now chapter 1 theory is done in the hands-on machine learning book. Now let's dive into the chapter 1 exercises. Now we are seeing the exercise of this chapter. So in this chapter there are 19 questions. Okay, so we read and answer these questions. So I prepare a PPT. Let's start with the first question. So how would you define machine learning? So the answer is machine learning is like teaching a robot or computer to learn things from examples instead of giving it direct instruction. So it's like how you learn to ride a bike by practicing instead of reading a step by step manual. So example, so imagine you run a bakery and you want your assistant to know what burnt bread looks like, so they stop serving it to customers. So you show them a perfectly golden loaf. This is a good bread, and a piece of charcoal you accidentally left in the oven. So this is burnt bread. So after looking at enough example, the assistant learn to spot burnt bread on their own. So even when it's look a little different. So that's the machine learning. Given a computer enough example, so it can figure things out without needing constant supervision. Next question. Can you imagine name of four types of problem where it's science? So the four types of problem in machine learning: classification problem, regression problem, clustering problem, and reinforcement learning problem. So in the classification problem, example is this mail spam or not spam? Real world scenario. So diagnostic disease from medical images, identifying faces in photos, or tagging your friend on social media. Regression problem. So what will the temperature be tomorrow? So real world predicting house prices, stock market trends, or energy consumption. Clustering problems, grouping customer based on their shopping habits. Real world market segmentation, organizing photos by similar content, or recommending products. Reinforcement learning problem. Example, teaching a robot to play chess by rewarding it for winning moves. Real world self-driving cars, game AI like AlphaGo, are optimizing delivery routes. So what is a label training set? So a label training set is a collection of examples used to teach a machine learning model. Each example in the set has so input data, the information in the model will learn from. Example, a photo of cat. Label output, the correct answer of category associated with the input. Example, the label for the photo would be a cat. So you are training a model to recognize animal. You give animal images, dog photo, label dog. If you give cat photo, then label is cat, and if you give bird photo, then label is bird. Images are the input and the animal names are the labels. So together they form a label training set. So what are the most common supervised tasks? The most common supervised tasks are classification. So what is this? Assign a category or label to each input. So example, is this mail, spam or not spam? So what type of animal is in this photo? A dog, cat or bird? So real life use cases, medical diagnosis, detecting disease from scans, fraud detection, and regression. What it does? Predicting a continuous value or number. So example, what will the temperature be tomorrow? How much will this house sell for? Real life use cases, stock price prediction, estimating demanding for product or services. Question number 5. Can you name 4 common unsupervised tasks? So here are 4 supervised tasks. Clustering. Number 1, clustering. So what it does? So group similar data point together into cluster. Example, grouping customer based on shopping habits. Categorizing new article by topics. Real world use cases, market segmentation, organizing photo by content or detect anomalies in network traffic. Number 2, dimensionality reduction. So what it does? Simplifies data by reducing the number of features while retaining the most important information. Examples, compressing a high resolution image without losing significant details. Visualize complex data in 2D or 3D. Real world use case, pre-processing data for better visualization or faster model training. Number 3, anomaly detection. So what it does? Identify unusual or rare items in data. Example, detecting fraudulent credit card transaction, finding defective product in manufacturing. Real world use case, cyber security, quality control in factories. Number 4, association rule learning. So what it does? Discover relationship between variable in large data set. Example, if a customer vibrate, they are likely to buy water. Real world scenario recommendation system. So customer who want X also want Y. Number 6. What type of machine learning algorithm would you use to allow a robot to walk in various unknown terrain? So answer, to enable a robot to walk in various unknown terrain, you would use a RL algorithm. So why? Reinforcement learning. So RL is perfect for problem where an agent needs to learn how to perform tasks in an environment by trial and error, receiving feedback in the form of rewards or penalties. In this case, the robot learns to adapt its walking strategy to unknown terrains by trying different movement and adjusting based on success. For example, staying balanced or failure, for example falling. So how it works? The robot senses its current terrain. For example, terrain may be rocky, sandy or slippery. So action, the robot decide how to move. For example, step size, speed or leg angle. Reward, it gets a reward if it moves successfully or a penalty if it slips or falls. So learning over time, it's learn which action work best for different terrains. What type of algorithm would you use to segment your customers into multiple groups? So to segment customer into multiple groups, you would use clustering algorithm, which is a type of unsupervised learning. So why clustering we are using? So clustering algorithm group data points based on their similarities without needing labeled data. So this is perfect for discovering natural grouping like customer segments based on shared behavior or characteristics. Question 8. Would you frame the problem of spam detection as a supervised learning problem or an unsupervised learning problem? So the problem of spam detection is best framed as supervised learning problem. So why supervised learning? So in a spam detection, you have a labeled training dataset where emails are tagged as either spam or not spam. The algorithm learns pattern from these labeled examples and uses them to classify new unseen emails. Question 9. What is an online learning system? Answer. An online learning system is a type of machine learning approach where the model learns incrementally one data point or a small batch of data at a time instead of processing the entire dataset at once. So key characteristics, incremental updates. The system updates its model as new data arrives without requiring full retraining. Adaptability, it can adapt to changes in data pattern over time. For example, evolving user preference. Real-time learning, suitable for scenario where data is continuously generated like stock prices or user activity. Examples: imagine a recommendation system for an online store. So every time a customer shops, their behavior is used to instantly update the model. This way, recommendation becomes more personalized over time as the system learns from new data. Out of core learning. Answer: out of core learning refer to a type of machine learning that allows a model to train on data too large to fit into memory all at once. Instead of loading the entire dataset into memory, the algorithm processes the data in smaller batches or chunks. This approach is especially useful for big data scenario where traditional machine learning techniques would be impractical due to memory limitation. Key characteristics: incremental learning. The model learns from a small subset of the data, gradually improving over time. Batch processing. Data is divided into manageable chunks and the model updates after processing each chunk. Memory efficiency. The entire dataset does not need to be loaded into memory, so it can handle much larger datasets. Example: imagine you are training a model on a massive dataset of customer transactions, but it's too big to fit in your computer memory. Without of core learning, you can load a small batch of transactions, train the model on it, and then update the model. Repeat this process until all the data has been processed. Question 11. What type of learning algorithm relies on a similarity measure to make prediction? Answer: the type of learning algorithm that relies on a similarity measure to make prediction is called a instance-based learning algorithm. The most well-known example of this type of algorithm is k-nearest neighbor. Key characteristic: similarity measure. Instance-based learning algorithm makes prediction by comparing new unseen data points to previously stored data points based on some measure of similarity or distance. No explicit model. This algorithm do not explicitly learning a model during training. Instead, they store all the training data and use it during prediction by finding similar instance. Decision rule. The prediction is based on the level of the most similar instances. For example, in KNN, the algorithm looks at the k closest training example to the test point and assign the most common level among them. Similarity measure. Euclidean distance. Measure the straight line distance between two points in a multidimensional space. Cosine similarity. Measure the cosine of the angle between two vectors useful of text data. Manhattan distance. Measure the distance between two points by only moving along grid lines like in a city grid. What is the difference between a model parameter and a learning algorithm hyperparameters? So the difference between a model parameter and a learning algorithm hyperparameter lies in their roles and how they are determined. So model parameter definition: there are the internal variables of a machine learning model that are learned or adjusted during training. Key characteristics: determined automatically by the training process, represent what the model has learned from the data. Examples: in linear regression, the weight and bias, and in neural networks, the weight of connection between neurons. Think of it as what the model learns from the data. Hyperparameters definition: these are the settings or configuration that you must specify before training the model. They govern how the training process operates and influence the model performance. Key characteristics: set manually or optimized through techniques like grid search or random search. Not learned from from the training data directly. Examples: learning rate, control how fast the model learns, number of hidden layers or units in neural networks, the value of k in KNN, regularization parameter like L1, L2, penalties. Think of it as the setting you choose to control how the model learns. Question 13. What do model-based learning algorithms search for? What is the most common strategy they use to succeed? How do they make prediction? Model-based learning algorithm aim to find an optimal solution that may maps input feature X to output Y. This function should generalize build to new unseen data. So most common strategy is minimizing a cost or loss function during training. So a CAT, cost and loss function, a mathematical measure of how far the model prediction are from the actual target values. Examples: MSE for regression, cross entropy loss for classification. Optimization algorithm. The model iteratively adjusts its parameter, for example, weight and bias, to minimize this loss. Common optimization method: gradient descent, update parameter by computing the gradient of the loss function and taking steps in the opposite direction. ADAM optimizer, a more advanced method for faster convergence. So how do they make prediction? Once trained, the model use the learned function to make prediction on new data. Input features: the model takes unseen input data. Apply the learned function. The input is passed through the trained model, for example, applying weights in a neural network or solving the regression equation. Output prediction: the model produces prediction for the target variable. Question 14. Can you name four of the main challenges in machine learning? So, here are four main challenges in machine learning: insufficient or poor quality data. Problem: machine learning models are only as good as the data they are trained on. If the data is too small, noisy, or unrepresentative, the model performance suffers. Example: training a speech recognition model with only a few accents will make it struggle with unseen accents. Solution: collect more diverse, high quality data and pre-process it carefully. Overfitting and underfitting. Overfitting: the model performs well on the training data but fails to generalize to new data because it has learned the noise or irrelevant details in the dataset. Underfitting: the model is too simple to capture the underlying pattern in the data, leading to poor performance on both training and test set. Solution: use techniques like regularization, dropout, and cross validation. Choose a model with appropriate complexity. Number 3. Feature engineering and selection. Problem: selecting and transforming the right feature is critical for model success. Irrelevant or redundant feature can confuse the model, while missing important features can limit its accuracy. Example: predicting house prices without including a feature like location would reduce accuracy. Solution: perform feature selection and dimensionality reduction. Use domain knowledge to craft meaningful feature. Number 4. Scalability and computational resource. Problem: as data and model size grow, training and deploying model become resource intensive. Some algorithms struggle to scale with large dataset or high dimensional data. Example: training a deep learning model on billions of images require massive computational power. Solution: use distributed computing and cloud services. Optimizing algorithms and use efficient libraries like TensorFlow or PyTorch. Question 15. If your model performs great on the training data but generalizing poorly to new instance, what is happening? Can you name this possible solution? So answer is If your model performs well on the training data but generalize poorly to new instances, it is like experience overfitting. Overfitting occurs when the model learns not only the underlying pattern in the data but also the noise or irrelevant detail, making it too specific to the training data. Possible solution to overfitting. Regularization. What it does? Adds a penalty to the loss function to discourage the model from becoming too complex. Example, L1 regularization lasso encourages sparsity by shrinking less important feature weight to zero. L2 regularization, also called RISC, reduce the magnitude of weight, preventing extreme values. Dropout, randomly drop neurons during training in neural networks to prevent reliance on specific nodes. Use simpler models. What it does? Reduce the model complexity by limiting the number of features or parameters. Example, choose fewer layers or smaller layer size in neural networks. Reduce the depth of decision trees or the number of estimators in ensemble method like random forest. Increase training data or use data augmentation. So what it does? Help the model learn more generalizable pattern by exposing it to more diverse example. So collect more data if possible. For images, applying transformation like rotation, flipping or scaling to generate more data. For text, use paraphrasing or synonyms replacement. Question 16. What is a test set and why would you want to use? So a test set is a subset of your data set that is used to evaluate the final performance of your machine learning model after it has been trained on the training set and validate on the validation set if used. The test set contain data that the model has never seen during training or hyperparameter tuning. So why use a test set? So access generalization. The test set evaluates how well the model generalized to new unseen data. This simulates the real world scenario where the model is applied to new points. Prevent overfitting to validation data. If the model is evaluated solely on the validation set, it might overfit to it during hyperparameter tuning. A separate test set ensures an unbiased performance estimate. Final check of model quality. So before deploying the model, the test set provide a clear picture of how it will perform in production. Analogy, think of a test set as a final exam. The training set is your study material. The validation set is your practice test. The test set is the actual exam that measures how well you truly understand understood the subject. Proper use of test set ensure your model is ready for real world application. What is the purpose of a validation set? A validation set is a subset of your data set used to evaluate the model performance during training, especially for tuning its hyperparameter and making decisions about the model's architecture or complexity. Its primary purpose is to help select the best performing model without overfitting to the training data. So key purpose of validation set number one, hyperparameter tuning helps you adjust setting like learning rate, number of layers, regularization strength, or the number of estimator in ensemble methods. Example, choosing the best value for k in k nearest neighbor. Model selection helps compare multiple models to pick the one that generalize based to unseen data. Example, comparing a random forest and a SBM using validation matrix. Number 3, prevent overfitting. Act as a checkpoint to monitor the model generalization ability during training. Stop the training process early. if the validation performance intermediate performance. Ensure the model is not just memorizing the training data but learning meaningful patterns that work on unseen data. So how it different from a test set? So validation sets used during training to tune hyperparameter and test sets used after training for final performance evaluation. Validation set indirectly seen by the model and test set completely unseen by the model during training. Validation set, so it's the helps in model and hyperparameter selection, and test set access how well the model generalize to new data. Question 18. What can go wrong if you tune hyperparameter using the test set? So using the test set to tune hyperparameter defeats its primary purpose as a final unbiased evaluation of your model performance. So here what's it's going on. Number one, overfitting to the test set. So what happened? By repeatedly tweaking hyperparameter based on test set performance, the model becomes tailored to the specific example in the test sets. Consequence, the model will perform well on the test set but, but poorly on new unseen data, reducing its ability to generalize. Number two, unrealistic performance estimate. What happens? The test set is meant to simulate real world data. If it is used for tuning, the performance estimate will be overly optimistic and not representative of real world behavior. Consequence, you may deploy a model with inflated expectations, leading to unexpected failure in production. Number three, loss of true validation. What happens? The test sets become part of the training process and you no longer have an independent dataset to verify the model's true generalization ability. Consequence, it becomes impossible to assess where the model is genuinely robust or just lucky on specific test set examples. Analogy, using the test sets for hyperparameter tuning is like practice for exam by peeking at the answer. It might make you feel prepared, but it won't reflect how you perform on question you have not seen before. For truly reliable models, keep the test sets untouched. Question 19. What is the repeated cross validation and why would you prefer it to using a single validation set? So, repeated cross validation is an extension of cross validation where the dataset is split into k folds multiple times and the cross validation process is repeated several times with different random splits. This technique helps reduce variability in for performance estimate caused by a single random split. So, step in repeated cross validation, split the data, randomly divided the dataset into k folds. Performance k fold cross validation. So, train a validate the model k times, each time using a different folds as the validation set and the rest as the training set. Repeat, resplit the dataset randomly into k folds and repeat this the process several times. Aggregate result. So average the performance metric across all repetition to get robust estimate of model performance. Why prefer repeated cross validation over a single validation set? So reduce variance in performance estimate. A single validation set or one round of cross validation might produce result influenced by a lucky or unlucky split of the data. Repeated cross validation smooth out these effects by averaging result over multiple splits. improves generalizing insights. Repeated splits ensure that all data points are tested multiple times in different training validation splits. This provides a more comprehensive evaluation of how well the model generalizing to unseen data. Prevent overfitting to a specific validation set. Using a single validation set risks the model being tuned to perform well on the specific data. Repeated cross-validation uses multiple validation sets, reducing this risk. More reliable model comparison. When comparing different models, repeated cross-validation provides more consistent and reliable performance estimates. So, analogy using repeated cross-validation is like taking multiple mock exam with different sets of questions before the final sets test. You get a more reliable sense of how well you understand the material compared to practicing with just one mock exam. So, when to use it? Small dataset where every data points matter. Comparing multiple models to ensure fair evaluation. Situation where performance estimate must be robust and trustworthy. Repeated cross validation ensure that your model is evaluated fairly and that performance metrics are as accurate as possible. That's all for today's. We have completed chapter 1 of hands-on machine learning covering both theory and exercises. In the next episode, we will begin chapter 2. So, if you find this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching.